I have been using the Sony ZV-E1 for the better half of a whole year now, and in my experience, this has been an absolute fantastic camera and probably the best camera on the market right now for YouTube and content creation. Now, there are of course a lot of factors that play into that, and in terms of whether I would recommend this straight off the bat or not, I will get over to in a second. First, let's start with a couple of the features that this thing has. The Sony ZV-E1 is a full-frame 12 megapixel camera that is dedicated towards content creation and creating social media content essentially, and it is essentially the little brother of the Sony a7S III and the Sony FX3, having the same sensor as those two powerhouse cameras. It's built into this smaller compact body. It's very nice and lightweight. Here I've got it paired with this Falcon base plate, but even without that, it's a very nice nifty little camera, which makes it perfect for creating social media content. Now, on top of that, the beauty about this camera and it having that same sensor as the Sony FX3 and the Sony a7S III is that you're getting essentially cinema level quality at a very low price. And because it comes packed with that same sensor, you've got that dual native ISO in log mode with that 640 base ISO going all the way up to 12,800, giving you clean images at those two ends, which makes it just so good in low light. And because it's got that ZV body build, it makes it really nice and easy to use. So if you don't want all of those advanced bells and whistles that come with the Sony a7S III or the FX3, all of the dials, all of the extra buttons, and you just want something that's simple and easy to use, then the Sony ZV-E1 is a fantastic choice. It has a tally light at the front so it can tell you when it's recording. With the latest software update, it also goes into vertical UI orientation when you flip the camera vertical, which again is fantastic for social media creation because you can film in vertical and the UI appears vertical. Very handy. Something that was introduced with the newer Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. And it's got the flippy out screen, which also rotates, a fully articulating flip out screen, which means that it's perfect for things like vlogging. And obviously, in my opinion, all cameras nowadays should have this flip out screen because it just should come as a standard. And it has a fantastic inbuilt mic as well. So it's got everything you need built into it to make it a camera that's great for content creation. It's great for YouTube. It's great for social media content, but it can also do a little bit more. It has its limitations. Obviously, it's a smaller body, meaning that it can overheat a little bit more. I have experienced it a couple of times, mainly when streaming, less so when I'm actually filming, but it hasn't bothered me because I live in London and it's cold most of the time. So if I'm going to be filming out and about, I don't really need to worry about this overheating. But if you are in a hot climate, then I would suggest getting one of those fans that fits on the back, and that pretty much solves the problem. Now, the video quality that comes out of this is absolutely spectacular. It is on par with the Sony FX3 and the Sony a7S III. These are fantastic cameras with fantastic video qualities. Sony has made the sensor within these cameras dedicated for low light and crisp video quality. 12 megapixels might not seem like a lot, but in terms as far as video go and capturing 4K video, the footage coming out of this is amazing. We all know the FX3 is a Netflix approved camera, as well as being used in major feature films recently, like The Creator, ironically named, but not about content creation. And the Sony a7S III is still a powerhouse camera, which if you can get one at a good price, I would still recommend for professional level work. So that being said about the quality of this thing, it's good enough to do professional level work, but obviously again, it has certain limitations which might make it not as good as cameras like the FX3 and the a7S III for pro work, because it doesn't have the dual memory card slot, it doesn't have a full-size HDMI cable, obviously it's a smaller body, the overheating issue and all of that. Now, what are my experiences of using this over the past year? Well, I've absolutely loved it. Before this, I had the Sony a7S III and I traded that in for the ZV-E1 for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it was because I wanted something that was a bit more lightweight and compact, and this was the best alternative because again, it has the same sensor. It's pretty much the same camera, just kind of compressed down into that ZV body, and it has a couple of extra features like the AI tracking as well as the dynamic active stabilization, which I was really after, which the Sony a7S III didn't have. Again, the Sony a7S III was a slight bit bulkier, and for the kind of content that I was now creating, which was more focused on YouTube, Instagram, social media, and less on professional level client work, I just didn't feel the need to keep the Sony a7S III because I wanted something that was lighter, that I could kind of fit in my bag easily, and it wouldn't add a heck of a lot of weight to it. So the ZV-E1 was the perfect alternative choice. And just like the Sony a7S III, I'm super impressed by the quality of the footage coming out of this. Pretty much 90% of my content now is shot with the Sony ZV-E1, and the quality is phenomenal. The 4K coming out of it is absolutely crisp, and with access to Sony S-Log3, it's got fantastic dynamic range, which makes it really good for color grading if that's something you're going to be doing with the camera. If not, you've got access to color profiles like S-Cinetone, which basically make it a really versatile and usable camera for creating content on the go and making quick edits with. Though I don't personally use S-Cinetone as much, maybe as much as I should do, but I've already got LUTs that I've produced for the S-Log3 which make my workflow really easy. And again, the low light, it's phenomenal. I took this thing with me to Malaysia where I accidentally hosted a content creator meetup there, where over 20 creatives showed up, and we met in Kuala Lumpur and went about at night time to shoot some content and just kind of network and have some fun. And I used the Sony ZV-E1 in that 12,800 ISO mode in low light conditions, and you can see for yourself some of the footage here. It's absolutely fantastic. There's very little noise. It's hardly noticeable even if there is some, and you know, it's nothing that a little bit of a noise reduction in DaVinci Resolve can't fix. But even without that noise reduction, I think it does fantastically well in those low light scenarios, making it such a good camera to have on you pretty much at all times if you're going to be creating content out and about, especially for travel, because you want to be capturing things at nighttime. This guy's the one you want to have. Now, in terms of photography, it's still a fantastic camera for photography, but one limitation that this has in comparison to the Sony a7S III is that it's got a fully digital shutter. It doesn't have the mechanical shutter like the Sony a7S III does, which opens it up to things like warping and artifacts and rolling shutter effects, which might not make it as good as the Sony a7S III for photos, but it's still not bad. And I would say if you're doing photography purely for social media, then this thing is more than enough. However, not having the mechanical shutter is one limitation. If you're looking for a hybrid camera, there are probably better choices out there. In terms of a choice for a video first and pretty much primarily video camera, the Sony ZV-E1 is definitely the top contender, and it can film 4K up to 120 FPS, which is absolutely fantastic, meaning you get super slow motion video. And from my experience of having used it in the past year, I wouldn't trade this in for anything right now, unless they bring out something even better for the same kind of price that this thing comes at. I think the Sony ZV-E1 is definitely the best content creation camera. Absolutely loving this camera. Would highly recommend it for anybody who's looking to get it and wants something that's purely dedicated to video. You guys have seen and can see for yourselves the quality of the videos that comes out of this thing. ZV-E1, fantastic camera. Definitely, in my opinion, personal opinion, the best content creation camera out there right now. I hope that was in any way useful to you guys. If it was, make sure you hit a like, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below what was useful about it, or if you have any further questions about the ZV-E1, then definitely ask away. And I do want to mention that if you guys do want to support the channel a little bit more and you want me to bring more videos and recommendations and stuff like this to you, then do consider grabbing my LUT pack, the link to which is down in the description box below. It is built for Sony footage, so S-Log3 footage, and it's my everyday LUT pack. You get a couple of LUTs in there which have subtle differences to them that I change around and swap about depending on how I feel and the environment that I'm filming in. And what you're going to get is the look that you see in majority of my videos. And again, I hope the video was useful to you guys. Until next time, this is Kai24 signing out.